there, and thank you so much for joining us today on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. If you haven't joined us before for Weather Out West, first of all, welcome. This is a one-hour show where we're going to tell you what's happening weather-wise across the western United States, 8 regions, our sister stations, and you're going to find coverage from the Pacific Northwest, the Mountain West, the Desert Southwest, and California. But today we're going to kick things off in Seattle because the Mariners and Blue Jays are tied 2-2 in the ALCS, and Game 5 is this afternoon in Seattle. Rich Marriott gives us the game day forecast as well as what the weather is looking like as the M's head back to Toronto on Sunday. Plus, I have the details on the wet and blustery weekend ahead.
A huge afternoon headed our way around Puget Sound, and not from the weather, from sports. Game 5 of the ALCS between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Well, the mid-afternoon around 3:08 is when we're expecting that first pitch. Fortunately, it's not right now. The roof is closed because we do have some showers out there. If we check out the Doppler radar, just a few showers from a convergence zone have kind of worked their way southward and actually moving through the area right around T-Mobile Park right now. Those are going to gradually dissipate, though, during the morning hours. By the time we get to the afternoon, they should be pretty much gone. You can see pretty much coating our camera lens there, looking across the street, and wet streets showing up there looking at T-Mobile Park. But the forecast calls for partly sunny at 3:08 for the first pitch, with temperatures right around 60 degrees and staying close to 60 through most of the game, so looking pretty nice. But we do need to make a trip to Toronto, and for Sunday's Game 6, it's looking like there's a chance of showers and also kind of windy as well. The good news is they do have a retractable roof, so they'll be able to close it and won't interfere with the game. Temperatures will stay right around 60 degrees, and if there is a Game 7 on Monday, well, temperatures mostly in the mid-50s with partly cloudy skies. Overall, though, looking like it's going to be weather, not much of a factor headed our way, but we are really rooting hard for those Mariners to make it to the series.
And a very happy Friday to you. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and you heard Rich mention that it's a big weekend here in Seattle before the M's go back to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays, eventually for Game 6. But let's focus on the now, because we are going to have some changes over the weekend. If you have any plans outside, just make sure you have the rain gear with you, because it is going to be wet and blustery at times over the weekend, and we'll have some higher elevation mountain snow. Definitely not going to be like last weekend where we just had blankets of snow at closer to 4,000 feet and above. It's not going to be like that this weekend. I'll show you in just a minute, but our temperatures are going to be close to where they should be, so no extreme temperature swings. But once again, we are going to have some unsettled weather through the weekend. This morning, we've had that lingering convergence zone just from about Skagit County all the way down to King County in Seattle. That's going to fade as the morning goes on, and some spots, including the coast and up at Paradise, already seeing some sun. The exception, Seattle, because of that convergence zone. So we are going to have some sunshine into the afternoon as well. Temperatures helping us warm, or the sun should help us warm into the 50s and 60s. Tonight it's going to be cool once again in the 40s and some 30s out there. Tomorrow we're kicking things off on a dry note. More clouds will build as the day goes on, but the rain is going to build as the day goes on as well. So it's more so into the afternoon, evening when we can expect some wet weather, wet and blustery weather here in Seattle. Into our Saturday, temperatures are going to be much cooler as well. We'll likely have some spots only reaching about 50 degrees. Into the afternoon, clearing skies, clouds will fill in into our Saturday, and then eventually we'll have widespread steady rain moving in more so in the back half of our Saturday, especially Saturday evening. If you have any plans or you're just going to be out and about anywhere from the coast up to the mountains, we'll have some steady rain and possibly some pockets of heavy rain. And then we'll have waves of showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms into our Sunday with those lowering snow levels, but we're still not expecting much, generally above Stevens Pass. Into our Saturday, going to become blustery. However, into late Saturday into Sunday, that's when we could have wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. And through Sunday night, rain totals look to be rather impressive, 1/2 inch, but the hot spots may pick up 1-2 inches of rain. In terms of snow, with those snow levels still staying pretty high into Saturday to about 9,000 feet, they will start to drop down to about 5,000 feet, maybe 4,500 feet by Sunday. So we're really not expecting any pass level travel issues, except maybe North Cascades Highway. And then next week we'll have highs in the 50s to about 60. Taking you down to Oregon now, rain is going to roll through the state as well this weekend. Some rain may be on the heavy side. Here's Portland's Rod Hill with those details.
From Portland, where we have had some rain this morning. It's been light, but enough that it's been at least measurable, like 0.01, 2 1/100 of an inch of rain. We had 7 1/100 of an inch up at Astoria along our north coast. Here's the wide satellite picture. Doesn't really pick up very well the weak front that's come through this morning. That's the reason for the light moisture we've had. It does show our developing Saturday night, Sunday rain out to sea. We will get into these clouds as soon as tomorrow morning, Saturday. The front coming together right back in here is what will come through with a heavy rain band that could bring some wind as well Saturday overnight. The rain that we've had this morning, you see the green showing up right there, is on the way out and will quickly become dry. And we should see increasing sunshine this afternoon. So all of a sudden today turns out to be lovely. Friday evening plans turn out to be under twinkling stars. Some live cameras for you again showing the morning clouds, but the beach should be clearing out today as well. Snookwinds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. There is the rain up at Timberline Lodge. Morning temperature has been plenty warm, 39. Breezy though, northwest winds to 25. And you can see the pockets of snow left over from last Sunday. Now with this new system coming in Saturday night, Sunday, looks like Mount Hood could pick up at least another 6 inches of snow down to 5,000 feet with lighter amounts down to 4,500 or maybe even 4,000 feet late Sunday. But there should be some decent snow for folks to go up and play in, if you will, like another 6 inches or more, as I mentioned, Sunday afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not expecting travel hazards really from our passes. Didn't see that last Sunday. Not expecting it this Sunday either. All right, so our state capitol has seen the clouds, but as far as I know, not the rain. You see some folks, quite a crowd of folks actually gathering down there on the Capitol Mall area. And here is a look at downtown Portland where the streets are wet from the early morning rain. Here's the way Futurecast shows it. 1 o'clock this afternoon, the clouds really on the way out, the sunshine coming statewide. Here are the clouds quickly returning Saturday morning, but we'll stay dry here in Portland, Salem, and Vancouver. And then Saturday overnight, this is 1 a.m. You see the heavy rain band, again, after midnight, Saturday night, coming through. This could produce 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the coast, could produce some 25-mile-per-hour breezes here in Portland. And the rain itself has a good chance to be heavy enough that it would wake you up out of your sleep. Again, that's Saturday overnight. Now, 7 o'clock Sunday morning, the front and the steady rain band with the wind has passed. But during the day, it now looks like just heavy showers coming and going. See the bright colors, maybe some little rain cells producing some stirred up gusty winds at times and maybe a rumble of thunder, although the flow pattern is from the west. So really you would expect this just to be rain and maybe some small hail mixed in with some of the rain showers. That rain chance ends Sunday overnight. How much we're looking at? This model is downgraded amounts to about 1/2 inch of rain at the north coast and anywhere from 1/4 to maybe 4/10 of an inch or so in Portland. All right, forecast numbers for you here in the valley. With afternoon sun coming, light winds, our capital city gets up to about 65 degrees. And with sun developing, inland areas from Salem to Madras to La Grande, all in that low to mid 60 area. So very uniform weather later today. Here's Portland's 7-day. 63, again, if you're coming our way, all dry this afternoon, all dry this evening. Saturday, all dry in town, but will be gray, will be cloudy, and then the heavy showers coming and going Sunday. It looks like we get on a little run of all dry weather Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And then another run of rainy weather develops next Thursday. That's the current timing into that Friday, which of course will be just 1 week from Halloween.
I can't believe it. Halloween is right around the corner. Up next, we're staying in the Northwest with forecasts from Spokane and Boise. It's going to be a beautiful autumn afternoon in Spokane, Washington, but like the western side of the state in Seattle, rain returns later in the weekend. Spokane's Nicole Hernandez has everything you need to know.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington, and I chose a very specific spot to do weather out west this morning, and it's behind a tree in the shade because the sun is shining this morning and it's going to continue shining through the rest of the day. Take a look behind me though before we get to our weather graphics. Some beautiful fall colors starting to peek through some of our trees. You know, when I moved here to Spokane, I moved from a place, San Diego, that didn't have genuine fall, and it surprises me every year that fall just doesn't happen like that, right? Like there are trees behind our photographer Al that are bright red right now, but then there's trees like this which are trying to get those fall colors started. It always happens in this beautiful sweep, right? Anyways, that's an aside. We're going to be beautifully sunny for today. So take a look at your weather headlines right now. You can see sunny this afternoon and then clouds start to build in tomorrow. We've got a lot going on above us with a low pressure system moving its way towards our area, and that's why our clouds start to build in, and then rain hits on Sunday. Let's talk today though, because it is going to be a beautiful Friday, and if you love the sunshine, take advantage of it today. I feel like anytime we get cold, that sun just always feels so good when we are a little bit chillier. Today we're going to be in the high 50s, about 59 degrees here in Spokane, and then again that sunshine. Across the region, some spots even going to be in the 60s today. Spots like Wilbur, Moses Lake, Ritzville, Dayton, Pomeroy, Lewiston, likely hitting that 60-degree point today. And with the sunshine, that's going to feel really warm, really nice. Even this morning, it was really interesting to see how much warmer we were all week. We've been in the 30s, and we were mid-40s, 45 this morning. Felt really, really nice compared to what we have been feeling. Moses Lake specifically was 28 degrees yesterday, and at the same time today was 50. So this warming trend for today kind of across the board. Afternoon highs looking pretty good, but then tomorrow we start to cool right back down. Tomorrow, 56 degrees doesn't feel like that big of a difference, right? It's only 3 degrees cooler, but it's cloudy tomorrow. Those clouds are going to build in ahead of that storm that's moving its way in for Sunday. And the difference between an almost 60-degree sunny day is going to feel incredibly different from a mid-50s cloudy day. So you're going to want that extra layer. You're going to want to potentially bring a jacket, whereas you could potentially have gotten away with it today. So keep in mind, while our temperatures look really similar, it will feel pretty dramatically different tomorrow. And then even more so on Sunday, right? We're going to see more cloud cover with rain as well, and then even cooler there. Let's talk about that rain for a second. We're starting to see the effects of that low pressure system already today. We have some breezy conditions moving their way through. The strongest of them are going to be in the Palouse, upwards of 40-mile-per-hour gusty winds. By Saturday, those clouds that we've been talking about ahead of the rain that hits Sunday morning. Take a look at that batch of rain Sunday at 5 a.m. Hopefully you're still asleep at that point. You don't get caught in that. But that is going to continue basically through the rest of the day. This patch here is the biggest that we see moving through the region, but then for the rest of Sunday, more and more patches just keep making their way through the inland northwest. Anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain, depending on where you are across the region. It moves out pretty quickly though. By the beginning of your next work week, by Monday, things are looking clear, things are looking more dry, and it kind of just feels like fall even more.
Thanks so much. Okay, so we're going to take you to Boise, Idaho now, where Hector Mendoza is going to tell us when to expect some frost and gusty winds.
Well, we saw beautiful conditions overnight, and this is a look at what we saw here early on this morning as that sun started to rise. This is a look out at Caldwell, a beautiful, beautiful sight with some of those colors. And we had some clouds that limited some of the temperatures cooling down and dropping into the upper 30s, but we are expecting to see a little bit more of that coming along as we get through Saturday morning with less of those clouds. So these are some of the morning temperatures we had down into the mid 30s there for Mountain Home, into the upper 30s for many other spots. Boise stuck around those low 40s, and again, a frigid start out in McCall and Stanley into the upper 20s, and that's what's going to continue here into the next couple of mornings. Now, as we did have some of those clouds, this is the reason why we didn't see really those temperatures climb down into those upper 30s here in Boise. Other spots that did see less of those clouds and saw clear conditions, that's what they saw in terms of those temperatures dropping. So as we do have some of these clouds, we start to see that some of that heating comes along and heats up the ground. But because those clouds are there, it acts kind of like a blanket. So a lot of that heat that makes its way and tries to make its way up through the atmosphere, that's what's going to block it from coming all the way up through and really cooling down the temperatures. It'll re-emit some of that heat, and that's what keeps some of the warmer temperatures coming along. So sometimes that's what's happening. But as we head on in through Saturday, we're going to see a lot more of those clear conditions. So because of that reason, we're going to start to see a lot of that radiation starts to escape, and that's really what's going to drop some of our temperatures. And for that reason, we are expecting to see some of those temperatures here in the Treasure Valley and the Western Magic Valley drop down into those low 30s possibly here through Saturday morning. And that's why there's a frost advisory in places. We could see some frost forming across the Treasure Valley and in places through Twin Falls. So that's something to really keep in mind. So if you have plants that are very sensitive to some of the cold temperatures, that's going to be time to cover them up or put them on inside if you can here for our Saturday morning. Temperatures are going to slowly start to climb up there as we get on towards Sunday, but we are going to see that here for the most part. We're going to see a lot more of those drier conditions with this high pressure system. We do have another system that comes in here on Sunday that'll start to drop temperatures again into Monday and bring a chance for some showers as we head towards Sunday. But Saturday looking absolutely fantastic for game day against UNLV on the blue, as temperatures will be into the upper 50s. Kick off at 1:30 with some of those lighter winds there. And by the time we get towards the end of that game, temperatures will be back up into those low 60s. So things are looking absolutely fantastic for game day on Saturday. Things are going to change up though as we get on into Sunday. As I mentioned, we do have a chance for some showers. We do have low chances here in the Treasure Valley, much higher out into the mountains, but still the chance for some scattered showers are coming along there for Sunday with some of those winds that pick up. And then after that, we will continue to see that possibly in through Monday morning, and then we'll continue to see some of those drier conditions at least in through Thursday, and then we're going to see those temperatures warm up just a bit. And these are some of the numbers we are expecting to see as we get towards Monday early on and through the morning. Some of those lower amounts come along for many of the valley spots, but of course out in the central mountains expect to see possibly 1.5 inches at least as we get on towards Tuesday, as that's where the bulk of the moisture is really going to start to hit, and getting closer to about 1/2 inch of rain as we look at McCall. But as we look at the 7-day forecast here for Twin Falls, we see some of these temperatures really fluctuate between those upper 50s and mid to upper 60s as we'll continue on through Sunday. Might see some clouds come and go, but expecting to see mostly sunny skies with temperatures in through the morning continuing in the upper 30s. But as we look on ahead here at the 7-day forecast here for Boise, we do start to see that temperatures climb down just a bit from Friday all the way through Sunday, just a couple degrees. Again, we'll see some of those cloudier skies. We'll see a little bit more of that wind and a chance for some showers that comes along. But then as you look on into Monday, we see the return of that sunshine, but temperatures drop down into the upper 50s, staying into the upper 30s. So a pretty cool morning to start off our work week. And then we're going to climb back up, see drier conditions, and expect to see a lot more sunshine with morning temperatures back in the 40s and the afternoons into the mid 60s.
Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Friday. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Before we head to the other stations, we wanted to bring you this story. And this is the site of 2024's Plex fire near Boise. Some of you may remember that. So multiple agencies came together to help restore what was lost, and one sagebrush seedling at a time. Through the Sagebrush in Prisons project, a group of inmates from South Boise Correctional Center, they've been growing native sagebrush brush from seeds since May. So earlier this month, they were able to plant them in the Burns Garden near East Columbia Road in southeastern Boise for a second year in a row.
It was pretty time consuming, but it's well worth it.
Through the Sagebrush in Prisons project, incarcerated women like Jody Marinko has been growing native sagebrush from seeds since May. Now all 10 inmates get the opportunity to get outside of the South Boise Correctional Center to plant sagebrush in the same place the Plex fire ignited last year.
That's the most exciting part, is to make sure that the landscape's back for the animals and the everything that needs the sagebrush to live. There's a lot of species that need it, so that's the most important part.
According to Allison Singer, the regional project manager, sagebrush is vital to more than 300 species, including the endangered sage grouse. In partnership with Idaho Fish and Game, the Department of Corrections, and the Institute of Applied Ecology, this project has been going on for 11 years, with the goal of engaging incarcerated men and women in habitat restoration and ecological science.
They have dedicated hundreds of hours of time since May growing these plants, filling the trays, filling the cones with soil, putting seeds in the cones and watering them sometimes 4 to 5 hours at a time, fertilizing day in, day out, doing really hard work. These ladies are on riders at South Boise Correctional, and they have all done such an amazing job at growing these plants.
This isn't the first time the program planted new life at the burn scar. Last year, a different group of inmates helped plant nearly 300 seedlings. This year, 400 will be planted.
The further plantings with Idaho Fish and Game are actually going to be on the Valley Fire and the foothills this year. So this is the only time the women get to come out and plant this year.
But the future of the program is uncertain. Federal funding was cut this year, but local support, like from Idaho Fish and Game, is keeping it alive, at least for now.
We got notice on September 23rd that 30 of our federal grants were terminated by the federal administration. And so we currently do not have funding for the Sagebrush in Prisons project moving forward after just finishing its 11th year.
That was KTVB's Derica Kay reporting. Since 2015, residents at the South Boise Women's Correctional Center have grown more than 175,000 sagebrush seedlings for habitat improvement projects on public lands. Coming up after a quick break, we're going to continue our tour out west with a forecast from our team of meteorologists in Denver and Phoenix. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Friday, and we have another city with picture-perfect autumn weather, Denver. So today's forecast, Kathy Sabin is tracking the next storm system to impact the area, and Katie LaSalle gives us an early winter weather outlook.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We have had an unusual weather pattern over the past week. We have had historic flooding in southwestern Colorado, extremely high dew point readings in Denver, record dew point readings, severe weather, a tornado warning, and severe thunderstorm warnings. All of it really has to do with the storm system, but to have all of these types of weather events this late in the season is a little bit unusual. This is the center of the low here. It is migrating toward the north and east. The counterclockwise flow is bringing in bands of cooler air. Many areas woke up to temperatures in the 20s and 30s with a frost advisory out for portions of eastern Colorado and also a freeze warning in the northwest corner of the state where they had a little bit of light snow last night. Once this system moves all the way out, high pressure sets up in advance of the next trough moving onshore in the Pacific Northwest, and that will bring a chance for showers and some cooler weather to us, but not for a few days. You notice we have a calmer weather pattern for the west and southwest, with most of the energy following the jet stream into the Great Lakes and the Northeast, with showers extending on a line down into Dallas and Houston, where they may be dealing with severe weather. Around here, our weather will be much calmer today, with the severe weather threat Omaha down to Wichita. These are areas that will be impacted by weather and travel delays. We've got a little bit of cloud cover coming into Steamboat with a bit of snow up there as well. Cold temperatures this morning in some areas of patchy frost, and then we go mostly sunny. The temperature trend will be seasonal for the next couple of days. Today and Saturday, mid 60s, and just a beautiful weather pattern that'll lead us to the warmest day of the extended period, Sunday, with a high way above average in the low to mid 70s. Stray shower Monday, and then a slight cooling trend heading into the middle part of next week.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Temperatures across the metro area, Front Range, and Eastern Plains around 15 to even 20 degrees colder this Friday morning. Clear skies, dry conditions, but with overnight lows around 40 degrees, that is still above average for this time of the year. Denver's average low on October 17th is 36 degrees. The record that was 18, so back in 1969. And we typically have seen our first freeze as of this time of the year. Our average first 32 degree or lower temperature in Denver typically occurs on October 7th. We're 10 degrees behind that. We are not expecting to see any freezing temperatures on the 7-day forecast. And as we look ahead tomorrow, October 18th, that is our average first snowfall date. No snow coming to the metro area. We usually see temperatures top out in the mid-60s. It'll be seasonal, really beautiful to wrap up this week and head into the weekend with some slightly warmer air. But I want to take a look ahead as we get to this afternoon. It's high 60s, very seasonal across the plains with 40s and 50s for many of our mountain towns. We are watching an area of low pressure to our north where we will see some colder air. But then as we get into the end of the weekend, that'll skirt to the north of our state and bring us some warmer temperatures across the desert Southwest and a big portion of the country. Our 7-day forecast, we will stay above freezing here over the Denver metro area. As you can see, overnight lows falling to the upper 30s by early Sunday morning. Could see some freezing conditions though across the plains, and then we'll warm back up to 76 degrees. On Monday, that's our next disturbance. That'll bring us the chance for a little more mountain rain and snow over higher terrain. Still in the 60s though for the majority of this upcoming week, relatively mild. Want to take a look ahead at our 90-day forecast. Still, of course, a lot can change, but the trend overall, we are trending warmer than average all across the state. As you can see, as we get into the next couple of months, our winter precipitation outlook could see a slightly drier weather pattern over southwestern Colorado. Finally, we saw drought conditions linger and then also taper off after so much rain that occurred over portions of the southern part of the state over the past several days. We are drying out over the next couple, but drier than average outlook for southern Colorado and near normal. Of course, we'll keep you posted as we get into ski season. We are just inching closer and closer, but for the next foreseeable future, it's going to be relatively seasonal and dry.
Phoenix continues to see some really nice autumn weather, and it's well deserved after some very active weather. Phoenix's Jen Wall tells us how long this is going to last.
Hey, good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Jen Wall here, and we want to give you your out west weather. We are waking to really cool temperatures here across the state. Low 60s in Phoenix. A lot of us driving maybe with the heater on just a little bit or the windows down. Yeah, a beautiful start to a Friday. That's going to continue through the weekend. Take a look north. We're in the 20s right now. Flagstaff, Grand Canyon, so well below freezing. Low 50s, Globe, 55 in Safford Valley neighborhoods, a mix of 50s and 60s. And these numbers, yep, they're going to get lower as the sun rises this morning. Mid-50s, Maricopa, Santan Valley, Queen Creek. Good morning to you. Upper 50s, Avondale, Glendale. So yeah, just a gorgeous morning in the desert. Hardly any wind out there. I mean, it's been a wild few weeks for weather. Things are finally quieting down. You can see here across our satellite radar just a very clear map. We don't even hardly have a cloud in the sky. A lot of the moisture has left. You can see our dew points are in the 20s and 30s as you get into the higher elevations, and then right around Phoenix, low 50s, upper 40s, Casa Grande. So yeah, we just have a very quiet weather pattern settling in with your future cast into motion. This is paused this morning around 10:30 a.m. We'll push it through this evening. Just a few clouds along the Mogollon Rim. Through this evening, those clouds clear. So that's just a quick little afternoon blip throughout your Saturday. I mean, it's a gorgeous one. We have a lot of wonderful pumpkin patches around the state. We have college football, ASU's here in Tempe. So yeah, we have great weather to see that. Tomorrow, you can see by tomorrow morning, we even have clear skies. So look at the next 5 days. We should be right around the low 90s this time of year. We're well below average today. Weather pattern changes some. Mid 80s tomorrow, upper 80s by Sunday. We're into the low 90s Monday, Tuesday. So we kind of get slightly above average, but we'll show you what happens next in my 7-day forecast. First, though, we're just loving this quieter stretch of weather. We have very dry weather into the weekend. No chances for storms statewide. We'll stay below average for now, as you saw there with that forecasted highs for the next 5 days. And then we get some slightly above average highs very soon. So you can see today our high of 83, and there you go, your average 89. Record 102, that was set back in 2009. We are not going to be anywhere near that. Here's how your Friday is going to shape up around the Phoenix area. Mid-60s by 8 a.m. We jump into the 70s through noon. So most of the day today, oh my gosh, staying in the 70s. We only hit the 80s for maybe an hour or two right around 4 o'clock this afternoon. And I know we have a lot of gorgeous fall colors up north. So if you want to go see those, Flagstaff has great conditions as well. You can see we're in the low 40s, upper 40s by about 9 a.m. and then we get into the 50s for much of the day. So definitely jacket weather, especially after our summer of extreme heat. Across Arizona today, we'll top out at 67 in Prescott, 86 Parker, 60 Show Low, 65 Winslow, 69 Sedona, upper 50s Flagstaff, Grand Canyon, 83 for us in Phoenix. And your valley neighborhoods, we even have a couple 70s out there. Apache Junction, Fountain Hills looking fantastic today. Low 80s, Goodyear, Glendale, and it looks like tonight, if you're planning anything outside, maybe a light jacket, especially if you're staying out late. Mostly 70s through about 10 p.m. I know we have a lot of high school football going on tonight, so it'll be nice and cool for those games. Then overnight, we do get to the 60s. Here's your 7-day forecast. Mid-80s tomorrow, upper 80s Sunday, so that's right at average. Slightly above average Monday, Tuesday in those low 90s. Back to the upper 80s Wednesday, Thursday. Flagstaff looking fantastic too for the next week.
Still to come on weather out west, we're going to check in with Sacramento's Brendan Minchef and San Diego's Vanessa Paz for the forecast. An alarming report by the Surfrider Foundation is warning that half of America's sandy beaches could disappear by the next century. And this is all due to rising sea levels. For California, that means 70% of their sandy beaches could erode, and experts say there is hope. Strategies like coastal dune restoration are proving even more effective than things like seawalls. A new California bill could pave the way to fund more of this restoration work. Now, staying in California, we're starting with sunny San Diego. Of course, Vanessa Paz is helping you get ready for the weekend. Plus, she has the details on when to expect a cool down.
Well, happy Friday morning. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here are the weather headlines as we say goodbye to the work week and hello to the weekend. Things have been simmering down in terms of temperatures. We felt very cool, very fall-like over the past couple of days. But things are going to switch gears as we head into Saturday and Sunday. We are going to expect to warm up, drying and warming trend into the weekend. But temperatures by next week will be back to around normal. All right, taking a look at temperatures for this afternoon. Daytime highs will crawl into the high 70s for some areas, including Oceanside as well as Vista. Some neighborhoods, though, are going to reach highs in the low 80s, and that goes for spots like Fallbrook as well as Escondido. So daytime highs are going to be a little warmer than yesterday afternoon, and you can expect those numbers to continue climbing into the weekend. So if you put away that AC, you may want to take it back out because we are expecting very warm temperatures, a little warmer than normal when it comes to the inland valleys. Meanwhile, for areas like Carlsbad, Del Mar, as well as downtown San Diego, daytime highs will push into the mid to low 70s, tracking low 80s this afternoon. Very toasty for Ramona and El Cajon, low 70s in Julian as well as Palomar Mountain, and mid 80s this afternoon for areas like Borrego Springs. In terms of overnight lows, if you have anything planned for this evening, especially closer to the foothill and inland communities, I would layer up. Daytime highs are going to sink down to, or overnight lows rather, are going to sink down to the mid 50s, high 40s. So going to be quite cool and will remain cool all the way through Saturday morning until things start to warm up once the sun rises. Overnight lows for spots like Borrego Springs as well as Ocotillo Wells will drop down to the low 60s, high 50s 50s meanwhile for our coastline. All right, so here's that area of low pressure. This thankfully has been keeping things at bay in terms of temperatures over the past couple of days, but it's actually going to push a little offshore, allowing for ridging to rebuild. So ridging, also known as a dome of really warm air, is going to kind of take over the southwest, and that's going to usher in warm temperatures this weekend. But notice what happens. Big picture, 500 millibars aloft. We'll have this area of low pressure kind of rebound looking ahead to early next week, and that's going to cool things down. So yes, we're warming up looking ahead to Saturday and Sunday, but by the time we get to next Monday and Tuesday, we're going to cool back down. When we talk about the warm up though this weekend, it won't be extreme heat. It's not like we'll have any heat advisories. It's just going to be a little warmer than normal. A lot of areas inland will be back into the 80s. Pine Valley, here are your rain chances day by day. Notice how we are bone dry all the way through about Monday, and then it rises a little bit. We're not expecting any shower activity Tuesday and Wednesday, but we are going to have the return of onshore flow that will bring back the marine layer and also cool things down for us. Perhaps maybe even tracking some gusty winds for the foothill and mountain areas. All right, over the weekend, here's what you can expect across our coastline. We'll top out in the high 70s, mid 70s by the time we get to Sunday. So really can't complain when it comes to the forecast that we're expecting along the beach and coastal communities. We're talking about a cool mornings followed by really nice days into the 70s. For the inland valleys, we are going to soar close to 90 degrees starting tomorrow, and we stay warm all the way through Monday, and then the area of low pressure kind of settles back in next Tuesday, Wednesday, and that's when temperatures start to simmer down a bit. But you can expect really cold nights and mornings. So as I mentioned before, if you have any evening plans, especially because the sun is setting much earlier, you can plan for layers. Layers is going to be key. Mountains and desert areas will be in the high 70s this weekend into the low 80s. It looks like the warmest days will be Sunday and Monday, and then temperatures will back off a bit on Tuesday. But notice what happens on Wednesday. Daytime highs will plummet into the 60s, and then will actually stay quite cool, comfortable all the way through the end of the week. High 80s for the deserts, 90s back in the mix on Sunday.
It's going to be a great weekend for fall festivities up in Sacramento as well. Here's Brendan Minchef with the forecast details, plus when you expect the next storm system in Northern California.
Hey, meteorologist Brendan Minchef in Sacramento. The month of October has been quite a bit below normal for almost all of it. We had a couple of days where we climbed into those upper 80s and did hit 90 degrees in Sacramento. That was the previous Tuesday, October 7th, hit 90. But then literally the next Tuesday, we only hit 56. That was the coldest day since February 12th. In Sacramento, and we've been on a gradual warming trend each of the days after that. For today, we're going to go back into those mid-70s, so I'm expecting the warmest day of the work week. This afternoon, 60 in South Lake Tahoe, 65 in Truckee, 68 in Forest Hill, 72 in Auburn. So the lower you go, you're looking at 70s. The higher you go, you're looking at low 60s. A similar story across the southern Sierra. You see Sequoia and Kings Canyon in the mid-60s. Same story in Pinehurst. And then you look out towards Yosemite and Mariposa, looking at those mid-60s to mid-70s. Mid-70s in places like Fresno and Merced as well. In the lower valley, 76 in Hanford, 77 in Bakersfield, 83 San Luis Obispo, 75 in Morro Bay, 76 in Big Sur, 68 out in Monterey and Carmel, 75 in Salinas, 72 in Santa Cruz. We'll have some cloud coverage out along the coast, some of that marine stratus, but not necessarily a lot of it, especially compared to days past. 76 in Tracy this afternoon, 77 in Livermore, 69 in Pacifica, 72 in San Francisco, 73 in Berkeley, and 73 in Oakland as well. Across the far northern part of the state, looking at 79 in Red Bluff, 80 in Redding, 70 in Mount Shasta, 64 in Fort Bragg, 61 in Eureka. Lassen National Park, about 67 degrees this afternoon. And across the capital region, 74 Sacramento, 76 in Lodi, 76 in Manteca, 76 in Modesto, 76 in Stockton as well. So mid-70s across the valley. Temperatures today about 5 degrees or so cooler than normal, but as we get into the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even Tuesday, we're going to be right where we should be for the time of year. Average high is about 77 or 78 degrees through the weekend, and that's what the forecast high is as well. Sunday in Sacramento, we've got the Ironman California Triathlon, 78 degrees, the forecast high. It'll be a little chilly in the morning in those low 50s, but this is very normal for the time of year to be about there in the mornings and to be about there in the afternoon. So a very seasonal Ironman forecast compared to years past where we've had rain on Ironman Day. This really could not be any better. Again, that average high 78. And that's what the forecast high is as well. We're going to stay in a pretty zonal pattern across Northern California as we head through the weekend and through next week. And that means seasonal temperatures. High pressure is not dominating the pattern. Low pressure is not dominating the pattern. As we look out about 10, 11 days at the very extended part of the forecast, we are seeing some model consensus here where we might see some more rain and more snow. But remember, this is quite a ways out. This is October 26th. So not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. Don't change any plans just yet, but there are model indicators that we may be looking at another storm on the way in before the month is over. This 8 to 14 day climate outlook for California, that would be October 24th through 30th, that's very near average in terms of temperature for the Golden State, but we're also looking at likely wetter as well, and that would be, again, that next storm system expected to come in. Over the next 5 days across the foothills, looking at those middle 70s, mostly sunny to sunny skies. Across the high country, upper 50s to mid 60s for the most part. Across, again, the high Sierra. So very seasonal temperatures all around. Maybe a little chillier through the weekend for the high country. But here in the valley, very seasonal in those mid to upper 70s.
Coming up after the break, and before we let you go on this Friday, meteorologist Kristen Walla has the details on the potential of severe thunderstorms in the south in today's national forecast. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Friday. So we told you before the break, our national meteorologist Kristen Walla is going to break down the details on the potential for severe thunderstorms in the south, including the risk for damaging winds, maybe a couple of tornadoes and some hail.
Hey there, y'all. I'm meteorologist Kristen Walla for Tegna Weather Impact. Here's a look into your Friday, rounding out the work week on a cooler note behind a cold front into the western half of the country. Temperatures generally around where they should be for this time of year, but out ahead of that cold front in the central and southeastern United States, temperatures quite a bit warmer in the upper 80s to even low 90s in some places like South Texas. That front is expected to move through the central U.S. and into the Ozarks heading into Saturday, at which point Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, we are going to be looking at the chance for some of the storms in this area out ahead of the front to be on the severe side, if not on the stronger side. So here's a look at that severe risk. You can see a slight or 2 out of 5 risk highlighted in this yellow area and a marginal 1 out of 5 in the green. So this is mainly for the Arklatex area up through the Ozarks and into the Mississippi River Valley. Now, the severe threats with this risk mainly going to be damaging winds, possibly some hail, and a few tornadoes also going to be possible in that area that was highlighted. Now, whenever it comes to these severe storms, it doesn't mean with the risk there that every single storm that pops up is going to be severe. In places where that marginal risk was highlighted, that means isolated storms are going to be severe, and in that slight risk, scattered storms. So again, just a reminder, not every single storm that pops up on Saturday in that area is going to be severe, but the ingredients for it are in place. Now, a lot of the rain is going to occur out towards Kentucky, Tennessee, and up towards the Great Lakes region, especially in the coming days as that front and another low pressure system passes through the Great Lakes. On the other end of this cold front down in Texas, not a lot of change expected. They'll get clipped by the edge of the front, maybe see a low rain chance, humidity dip a little bit, but overall not getting a whole lot out of that front as it continues to move off to the east. Another front expected to drop through the country, bringing more rain to the Great Lakes region heading into midweek next week, but again, dependent on upper level high pressure that may not reach South Texas or give them much of a cool off. In terms terms of rainfall, a bit of rain expected up in the Pacific Northwest over the next couple of days, 2 inches of rain or so there. Also 2 to 3 inches of rain through the Great Lakes region. And down towards the Mississippi River Valley, 1 to 2 inches of rain. That is also where we find a flood risk also for Saturday, a slight risk there as well, a little bit displaced from that severe risk off to the northwest just a bit. But real quick, one last thing in terms of the tropics, we do have another area of interest with a low chance of development currently in the central Atlantic, but over the next several days, we're going to see it go closer and closer to the Lesser Antilles, eventually crossing into the Caribbean as we head into early next week. For weather impact, I'm meteorologist Kristen Walla.
Thanks, Kristen. That's going to do it for us here on Weather Out West on this Friday. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and we thank you so much for being with us today. We hope to see you again on Monday.